여러분 안녕하세요. 대한민국 영어 감잡기 프로젝트 데미안과 함께하는 너쉬영북 시간입니다. 이번 시간은 17강 리딩이에요. 53쪽 첫 번째 줄부터고요. 연관문은 블루로 표시되어 있습니다. 역시 독해에서 확인하실 수 있어요. 자, 들어갈까요? And now began the feast of my readmittance to the fold, the return of the prodigal son. Mother took me to my father. The story was repeated. There were questions and exclamations of surprise. Both parents stroked my head and breathed sighs of relief after the long period of oppression. Everything was marvelous. Everything happened as the stories I had read said they would. Everything resolved itself in wonderful harmony. I drugged myself on the satisfaction of having regained my peace of mind and the confidence of my parents. I became a most exemplary boy at home, played more than ever with my sisters, and during the devotional periods, sang all my favorite hymns with the fervor of one who has been saved, who has been converted. It came from my heart. There was nothing forced about it. Still, not everything was back in order, and this is the fact that really accounts for my neglect of Demian. I should have confessed to him. The confession would have been less emotional and touching, but it would have been far more fruitful. I had returned to my Edenic world. This was not Damian's world, and he would never have been able to fit into it. He too, though differently from Cromer, was a tempter. He too was a link to the second, the evil world, with which I no longer wanted to have anything to do. I did not want to sacrifice Abel to glorify Cain, not just now when I had once more become Abel. Those were the superficial reasons. The inner ones, however, were as follows. I was free of Cromer and the devil's hands, but through no power or effort of my own. I had tried to pass through the labyrinths of the world, but the way had proved too intricate for me. Now that a friendly hand had extricated me, I retreated, looking neither to the left nor the right, but went straight to my mother's lap and the security of a pious, sheltered childhood. I turned myself into someone younger, more dependent, more childish than I was. I had to replace my dependence on Cromer with a new one, for I was unable to walk alone. So, in the blindness of my heart, I chose to be dependent on my father and mother, on the old cherished word of light, though I knew by now that it was not the only one. If I had not followed this course, I would have had to bank on Demian and entrust myself to him. That I did not do so at the time seemed to me to be the result of my justifiable suspicion of his strange ideas. In reality, it was entirely because of my fear, for Demian would have been far more exacting than my parents. He would have tried to make me more independent by using persuasion, exhortation, mockery, and sarcasm. I realize today that nothing in the world is more distasteful to a man than to take the path that leads to himself. Yet 6 months later, I could not resist the temptation and asked my father during a walk what one was to make of the fact that some people considered Cain a better person than Abel. He was much taken aback and explained that this was an interpretation entirely lacking in originality, that it had already arisen in Old Testament times and had been taught by a number of sects, one of which were called the Cainites. But of course, this mad doctrine was merely an attempt on the part of the devil to destroy our faith. For if one believed that Cain was right and Abel in the wrong, then it followed that God had made a mistake. In other words, the God of the Bible was not the right and only one, but a false God. Indeed, the Cainites had taught and preached something of the sort. However, this heresy had long since disappeared from the face of the earth, and he was only surprised that a school friend of mine should have heard anything about it. He warned me most seriously against harboring such ideas. 자, 오늘은 여기까지 하겠습니다. 오늘 영상이 여러분이 영어의 감을 잡는 데 도움이 된다면 구독, 좋아요로 알려주세요. 더 좋은 영상을 만드는 데 큰 힘이 될 것입니다. 여러분 감사합니다.